What's up, everybody? Welcome back to EcoWell Co. I'm Nayo, Reiki practitioner, currently transforming, and wanting to share this experience with you. Um, so if you've watched a couple of my videos most recently, you'll see that some of the topics have been around shifting, changing, embracing a different version of the self, rebranding, even identity shifting, understanding what some of our foundational building blocks are, anything that can go with that. And I actually want to follow up on something that I spoke about in one of my previous videos, which is about when we are demanding more from ourselves and diving deeper into our own magnetism. And speaking from a recent experience that just happened with me, as I am going through my own transformational shift with my relationship to myself, with how I'm relating to myself, and thus also relating to other people, and how even the demands on how I want to be treated or how I'm treating myself begins to shift how I also want to be treated by other people. This goes hand in hand. And the interesting part about this is I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm a person that has complete emotional control. I'm always so stoic and I know how to have emotional conversations. No, I'm not going to hold you. Anger gets the best of me sometimes. And I recognize that in this process of accepting myself, of accepting the years of being someone who has always been outspoken to a degree, but hasn't necessarily always spoken their truth. And it's an interesting dichotomy to exist here because, you know, it could be that, oh, I never speak up. I'm always so quiet. I'm reserved. I am never speaking my truth because that's not actually true. There are moments where we are going to be proving to ourselves and proving to our nervous system that we are here to support ourselves. We do advocate for ourselves. We can speak up for our needs, wants, desires, etc. But that can also be met with moments where we are not doing that, where we're withholding because we don't want to stir the pot. We don't want to engage in conflict. We don't want to make somebody else upset. We don't want to possibly entertain the idea that if we express our truth, which could be completely counter or contrary to a person, place, or thing that we're engaging with at the moment, that what if that person abandons me, doesn't want to be my friend anymore, doesn't want to be my partner anymore, doesn't whatever. These questions are questions that are may come naturally, especially as somebody who has been a people pleaser for some time, has been somebody who tries to overgive, over accommodate, over please, or just I don't, you know what I'm saying? You're just kind of like going beyond your truth, going beyond the truth of your capacity. And so in doing that, at least I'm only really speaking from my personal experience. If y'all who identify with this also have something similar, you can let me know down below in the comments. But I have often, because of these things of me not always standing up for myself, not always speaking my truth completely, typically always having on some form of mask, typically always in some capacity, probably holding my tongue in some degree, even with close friends, even with close confidants, not always 100% showing up as like the fullness of myself. So usually meaning there is a filter. That can sometimes, especially if the values that we have, if the boundaries that we have within ourselves, for ourselves, and thus for others are not strong, they're wavering, especially if we feel insecure about certain things, like being abandoned or whatever it may be. We're probably going to end up feeling and or being mistreated at some point in time in those relationships, no matter the type of relationship it is. Because at least what I'm finding is that when I am not sturdy in myself, I can be easily influenced by other people's energies or perceptions or words or feelings or whatever it is. It's such like it happens. And I think when coming to this moment of realizing that no, I must demand more for myself. I must show up for myself. I must show up for EcoWell Co. I must show up for my health. I must do all these things. When I'm beginning to realize that, oh, I haven't been doing these things consistently. nor have I been showing other people that I've been doing these things consistently. So not only does my nervous system not trust me 100%, it doesn't trust me to be able to show up in the way that I need to show up for myself. It also doesn't trust other people to be able to show up in the way that I actually genuinely need them to show up for me and or how they understand to show up for me outside of me communicating my needs. So it's a double-edged sword when we are allowing ourselves to waver, be like a leaf in the wind, essentially. Even if we are a leaf that's has some sort of footing in something, um, there's still going to be moments where, sorry, just checking something. There's still going to be moments where if we're not feeling super sturdy in certain things, we're probably not showing up for our nervous system in the way that we genuinely, really, really need. And eventually, I started really looking for levels of reassurance and comfort and safety, not within myself, but within other people. And with looking for that in these other people, that means I started to be more open to the things that they were doing, their lifestyle, their belief system, even if I could feel it and I knew that their belief system did not align with mine. I would still try to be adaptable, accommodating, agreeable. I would allow the filter to exist longer than it needed to because I just wanted to belong. I wanted to feel liked. I wanted to feel like I could hang with the crew. And this is just self-deprecation. Like, as I reflect on this, this is just like harm towards the self. It's harm towards the nervous system. It doesn't, and I'm not saying that, you know, maybe you find yourself with people. I'm not saying that these people have to be bad people, that they have to be terrible people. They could be miserable people. They could be people who don't necessarily always have your best interests at heart. They could be people who love you, yeah, but genuinely do not know how to treat you. They could be people who maybe it's a mixed bag. Maybe they, do their best most of the time. Maybe there's a lot of love and respect, but also at the same time, there may be moments where they do or say things that are like, whoa, you really genuinely don't agree with it, but instead of speaking up, you don't say anything because you're like, oh, but we love and respect each other. There's no point for that. Like, actually, that's the very moment where a conversation on accountability needs to be had, or a conversation on, hey, I didn't like that, or I didn't like how that felt, or, you did that thing and it made me feel this way. Like, can we talk about it? Right. So I'm not condoning blowing up on people all the time. Maybe sometimes you might have to. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Look, okay, again, I'm not gonna act like I lead with the most emotional consolations. Like sometimes I crash out. But in me demanding more from myself and being super transparent in the space, I no longer want to crash out because what? That's a lot of energy directed towards something that probably, when I think about it in retrospect, didn't deserve all that energy. But it did deserve attention. It did deserve a conversation, and it does deserve it deserves an opportunity for truth to shine down on it, right? So if we're talking about the nature of the relationship has to change while you're changing, then that's a conversation to have with the people that you need to have it with. If we're talking about, okay, maybe you blew up, maybe you acted crazy, whatever. Okay, that's what you did. It's not the end of the world. If it is the end of a friendship or the end of a relationship, then that's okay. You have to be willing to accept that me blowing up possibly led to an end of a relationship, which is maybe not what I wanted, but it's what it led to, or a pause in a connection. So this is where it's like a double-edged sword, right? We can be annoyed and disappointed in other people, but ultimately, if we reflect on what is it that I'm so annoyed and disappointed about, it's probably yourself, right? You're probably annoyed and disappointed with yourself for not speaking up all the different times when you knew to, for not um, standing up for yourself, for not being firm in your boundaries, for not saying no to that thing that you really didn't want to do, for not telling your friend, hey, dude, that was kind of rude or weird or put me in a compromising situation. Can you not do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever it is, or just saying, hey, friend, I think some of your habits I don't really want to be around that, or I feel like it's putting a bit of a rift between, whatever it is. Like however the conversation needs to be had, there is a way to have a stable and calm conversation with loved ones about some of the concerns that you have, especially as you begin to reflect and realize that the shifts that you have to make or that you are currently making within yourself, meaning the way that you talk to yourself is shifting. And so, thus, naturally, the way that other people talk to you is going to shift. And if it doesn't shift immediately because you realize people are still talking to you crazy or still talking to you in self-deprecating means, meaning that they themselves are being self-deprecating to themselves and the way and the words that they use around you, or joke or not, they are using deprecating language to towards you, jokingly or not jokingly, whatever it is. If you recognize that how you speak to yourself is changing, and you like that change and you want to continue on the route of that change. Maybe it's speaking more life into yourself. You're speaking more highly of yourself. You're encouraging yourself to do things. If you recognize that the people you are close to, you also want that dialogue, the type of language used towards you and around you to also change. Note, you can't control anybody, but you can control what you can control, which is simply saying, hey, I don't want to have this conversation, or I don't want to use these types of words around me, or I don't want to, like when we talk about this thing, can we explore an expanded perspective about this? Or can you not call me that? Like I know perhaps it was funny before, but I actually never found it funny and I just never spoke up. But moving forward, I would like for us to not speak that way about myself, yourself, or other people. It could be also something as simple as you don't want to gossip anymore. You don't want to talk bad about other people. You actually would prefer to speak life into everyone and everything. That could also require a shift. And now, in some instances, having a conversation with your loved ones, easy peasy. Not easy peasy, impossible. And so ultimately, we can always control. We can control within our own lives, being our reactions, our perspective, what we allow to influence us. And sometimes, or just recognizing what has influenced us and decide to make a change. But in demanding more from the self, you are again naturally going to start demanding more from others, or at least the circles that you're in, or realize that you want to mob in different circles. You want to be around different people. It could be people that are in the field that you're upskilling in, people that are in the tax bracket that you're looking to be in, people that have access to angel investors for business stuff because maybe you're starting a business, people that instead of hanging out on the weekends and doing drugs and drinking, they do something else. Maybe they work out. Maybe they do different hobby classes together. Maybe you're going to just start exploring a new thing that you're super interested in that doesn't have anything to do with a previous habit that kind of kept you trapped in your old self. Whatever it is, you are going to end up wanting to find people that are resonating on the frequency in which you're resonating at. And that's beautiful. That's great. When I think about frequency, right, and people connecting, being connected together, I see it often as like these antennae that are sticking out from a person, right? And when you're vibrating at a certain frequency, like maybe you're thinking certain thoughts, you're ruminating pretty much on certain thoughts. You're thinking certain thoughts, you're doing certain things, you're eating certain foods, you're just however you're existing, you're going to likely end up being drawn to and attracting things that are on that similar frequency. And that's okay. After you recognize, and so like the antenna that are attached to your body, they're reaching out for things that resonate, that match that frequency that you have. But at some point in time, maybe you're like, I actually don't want to resonate with the way that I have been. So I want to meet different people. I want to meet new people. I want to, some of the different things that you've decided that you want to demand from yourself and thus are now showing up for, right? So this is a combination of educating the nervous system, being the body, the physical body part, and now we're also educating the energy system. And a lot of times the energy system works first, and the nervous system, being the actual body, will come along. And so as you decide, hey, I want to actually send my energy and attention down different antennae, I want to change my frequency, your antenna will eventually have to break ties with those old frequency or just die off from you And then maybe you'll develop new antennae to at a different frequency that will connect and attract different frequency things that exist at the decisions that you've made. But you recognize how it starts at a decision, right? It starts at a decision. What you eat is a decision. Who you talk to is a decision. Um, what you decide to ingest, and not just food consumption, but I'm talking about media, words, relationships, people, whatever it is. All of this is going to affect your frequency. And if you decide that you no longer want to send energetic pulses down a certain connection wave because you're like, actually, this isn't supporting me in my path forward. And actually, I realize that I can't control anyone. I can't control what they do or what they say. But if I've spoken my truth to this person or to this group of people and they laugh at me, or they just, they just don't care about what it is that I have to say, or they don't feel the same way, they don't want to come along, they're happy where they are, whatever it is, that's okay. I'm going to continue putting my energy and my focus down the pathways that feel good to me, that feel more aligned, that feel healthier, wealthier, or whatever it is that you're looking for. And I think we have to be okay with that. We have to be okay with the possibility of losing friends, of losing partners, of losing people, places, things that just simply do not resonate with where we are and where we're going. And that's it, right? There's going to be a grieving process 100%. You're going to grieve. You're going to be angry. You're going to be frustrated with yourself, with others. It's going to be many things. You're going to wish that you did it sooner, maybe. Um, it's just a part of the process. It's a part of being human. It's a part of making a decision to be different, to experience life differently, to set different goals or different value, or to actually have like really true grounded boundaries, values, moral systems, right? Because ultimately, you are also like you are what you eat, right? But you are also who you surround yourself with. And I think it's pivotal that if we want to lead lives of love and authenticity, if you go back to my What Are Your Building Blocks video, I talked about breaking down what do you actually want the building blocks of your life to be. They could have been something else, but you're deciding you want to break down the foundation and build something else there. You get to decide what those building blocks are made of and go from there. And so I think that as I close out this video for today, deciding who you are and who you want to be may cost you a lot of things. It may be exhilarating at first when you make the decision, but in the practice of it, it may cost you things that maybe you're not ready to let go of. Maybe you didn't expect you'd have to let go of that. Maybe you didn't expect the change of relationships that would have to happen. Eventually, you'll start realizing that there are certain things you'll have to handle, certain conversations you need to have with yourself and with others. And you'll also realize that you actually have to become the absolute safest, safe house. You have to become the safe place for yourself. It's nobody else is going to be the safe place for you. They'll try their best, maybe, but you have to be your own safe house. There's nobody else is going to be your ultimate safe house because the other person that you could be leaning on or hoping that you could lean on anything could happen to them. And then what are you going to be left with without your safe house? Nervous system all over the place. So we have to be willing to challenge ourselves and not just challenge, but literally do it. Consistently show up for our nervous system in a way where our nervous system can say, I see you. I understand that you're safe for me. It's safe for us to be here with ourselves. Because if not, we're going to be looking for everything outside of us to help us regulate and feel safe. And that's just not the case. Shoot, last night I was with a homie and they gave me a massage and they were making small observances that certain things that they would massage, I was like still holding that limb up myself instead of just being a total limp noodle, right? And they're just like, you hold a lot of tension. And they weren't the first person to say that to me in the span of the past couple of days. Nor were they the first person to recognize that low-key I've been tense for a very, very, very long time. So that exhale. After the massage last night, I truly felt like a lump noodle. after that conversation, after kind of opening up a bit about the truth of why I feel like I've been so tense for so long, not feel like I can trust myself, not feeling like I can actually trust other people, not feeling like I've consistently showed up for myself, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, just feeling like I'm in my own little hamster wheel of bullshit. I'm like, you know what? It's me on me, baby. It's me on me. It's my choice, it's my decision. And so I ended up, which I'm going to encourage you to do as well. I ended up writing a list of no more accepting of. And it's about 30, it's about 30, not, it's 30. The list is 30 things long. Okay. um, but I just kind of went through like, what are some of the things that I feel like in the past, I don't know, 9 years of my life? Because this year, the 2025 numerological perspective, it's a 9 year. This is a shedding year. It's also a snake year from the Chinese reflection. So it's a big year of shedding, of letting go of a lot of those old patterns that we have been just so staunchly holding on to for honestly no apparent reason. There are reasons, there are reasons. But when I really think about it for myself, the reasons for me was that I just never felt enough to really be myself. I never felt like just me being me without having to work for something, right? So me being Niall, I had to work for love. I had to work for friendship. I had to work for companionship. A lot of these things that I have experienced in my life, though, have been like, oh, I didn't necessarily have to work for it, but I thought that I did. And so I was putting on a different front. Even if I was speaking my truth, it wasn't my full truth. Even if I was engaging with people, I was still holding a mask. I was still filtering. I wasn't really showing up completely. And I realized that at some point in time, I hated it. You know, like it feels like nobody actually knows me because I'm getting treated one way. And I'm like, why are you treating me like that? And it's like, oh, it's partly my fault. Now, sometimes people will treat you crazy and it's not your fault. But other times it could be because they have how they now have a trained muscle that they can treat you a certain type of way. Maybe because of how you've presented yourself for some time. Maybe you haven't been the most authentic and loving to yourself, maybe whatever. And that's okay. We're people, we're learning, we're growing. This is iterative. When I'm not expecting any of us to be perfect at anything that we're doing. But at some point in time, when the awareness dawns on you of what's really going on and what you have been doing, slash haven't been doing, and what you really want and who you really are, then you get to decide moving forward. No, we're not doing this. No, 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 no. You get to have the conversation. You might crash out a little bit. I ain't gonna hold you. You might grieve. You might have a different, a varying experiences. You might, or you might not. It's whatever, right? It just happens that me, I have a lot of anger, contempt, and just like, ugh, that I have projected towards other people. But also when I really think about it, oh, it's towards them, but it's also literally towards me, right? If I'm pointing the finger, three fingers are pointing back because actually I'm also just disappointed in myself. But that's okay. I'm willing to sit here and accept that I'm literally disappointed in myself, but I'm also willing to accept that I'm willing to do something about it and that I actively am doing something about it. And I'm also willing to accept that I don't like when I get upset and I get angry and I yell and shout or stuff gets super crazy. Like I don't like it. I would like to approach things very differently. I don't like, I'm willing to accept that I've been tense for as long as I can remember. I have been insecure about a lot of things. God. And that definitely fed me not wanting to stir the pot too much, not wanting to whatever. So I have held back a lot. And the very things that I've held back have a lot of the times been the very things that needed to be expressed. And so that anger building up towards other people because of mistreatment over time or just people putting me into precarious situations and me not saying anything about it, being like, hey, like, consider me next time, right? It's just anger towards what I have allowed to happen for so long because I didn't want to be alone. Just accept it. Just accept it. Accept that. Accept that that's how it's been. That's the only thing that you can really do right now is accept that that's how it's been. However, it has been is that it's just been like that. But acknowledge and decide on what's next because acceptance Awareness is the first step. Acceptance is the second. What you do next is up to you. You get to decide what the building blocks of your new foundation, the foundation of your values, the foundation of your boundaries, the foundation of your life. You get to decide what they're going to be based on, what's going to be filling those building blocks. Me, I said love and authenticity. Yours could be anything that you want it to be. You get to decide. So decide. Take some time. I definitely recommend going through this process. If you're on this journey with me, decide, first start a list. Start a list. What are you no longer going to be accepting, as including from yourself and other people? You can also do a second list of what do you want to focus your attention on, or how do I want to treat myself? And when you make a list of how do I want to treat myself, realize how that could correspond to how you would want other people to treat you. But make sure you really hone in on how you want to treat yourself and actually do those things. Check in with that list. Maybe make a daily, this morning I do this, this, and this from this list. And I do it every single morning. I make it a routine. I make it a ritual. I make it a devotion to myself. I make it a discipline, whatever word that feels good for you. And I also recommend just taking some time and noticing where there is tension in your body. Do a body scan meditation. I actually have one linked below that you can do. Just take some time to really check in with yourself, journal more, spend more time being honest with yourself, perhaps even reflect on your day. What did you allow that aligned with where you're at and where you're going versus what did you kind of fall back into being your previous self? What can you control? What can't you control? Visualizing the future that you want to concoct for yourself, whatever it is. Like, definitely spend some time just like journaling, unpacking, and reflecting on a daily basis. And also spend some time just breathing. Just breathing. You can flubber your lips a couple times, 5 times a flubber. Take a deep breath and let it out. Take 5 deep breaths and let it out. Just let the stress go. Go get some Reiki done. You can get some done by me virtually. Or in person if you would like that. Get a massage done. Just really check in with yourself because your nervous system matters. It's where everything is going to live at. All the success, releasing all the pain, progress, financially, health-wise, everything else. Your emotional progress, like your nervous system is going to be where it's at. And I will admit to you, I feel like a child right now. I feel like a child learning how to speak, learning how to express themselves. It's so funny because we're as children and we do it, but then at some point in time, something happens and we start to lock ourselves into this self-made cage. And so the encouragement is to explore yourself, reflect, also have some fun. Even in the heaviest moments, inject some play. Go outside, do a cartwheel if you can. Have a coloring book near you so you can color in or just doodle. Go make some music if you like that. Like, go to a play. Just do something playful, even if it's super heavy, because that'll also help you in the midst of reflection and processing. Get your nervous system to a place of comfort and trust and safety within itself, because that's the ultimate goal right now, is rebuilding and or just simply building a safe place within our own vessels. It's not out there somewhere, it's in our vessels. So thank you for being here with me. If you appreciate the work that I do, please do see the link below for Buy Me a Coffee. It is what makes this work possible. And of course, it would help me even be able to invest even more into the space to make this even more interactive and entertaining and welcoming, and to also build additional programming and spaces and communities where we can all come together. So Buy Me a Coffee link is in the bio description for today's video. And again, just thank you so much for being here. And as always, you can comment below. What has your experience been with shifting, with transforming, with shedding an old identity, shedding an old habit, an old lifestyle, and coming into something else? Has it been difficult? What are some of the things, some of the challenges or just immense benefits that you didn't expect that just came and flooded you with. And how do you feel now if you're already on the other side of that? Who are you now? And anything that you all would like to share would deeply appreciate and be deeply grateful because this is a growing learning space. And as EcoWell Co is rebranding, because I'm rebranding as myself, I'm becoming someone else, literally. Um, I'm grateful to share this space with you all. So see you next time, okay? Bye.